Hi, everyone. Can someone let me know if you're able to hear me? I want to make sure that my sound is working. Is that better? Hi, everyone. Just going to wait a few minutes until 6 o'clock so everyone gets a chance to get on. Perfect. Where's everyone from today? From Orlando. I'm from Jersey. I've lived here my whole life. I'm about half hour from the city, so I'm in a good area. Oh, a lot of people from Texas today. Hi from Toronto. Yeah, we have a few people from Jersey. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Hi, Karen from Philly. Are you guys excited for today's class? I'll get into what we're going to be learning, but as you guys know, it's going to be about concealer, and I'm going to try to answer as many questions as you guys have. You have so many people from Atlanta today. I keep saying Atlanta, Georgia. Gonna wait a few more minutes. Hi to everyone just tuning in. I'm just waiting a few more minutes until everyone gets a chance to go on. This will be saved at the end though, so you can always go back and rewatch in case you missed any parts of the lesson. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so at the end, this will be saved on YouTube, so you can go back at a later date to watch. I hope you guys are all staying safe and healthy during this time, this quarantine time. I'm not sure if every state is still under strict like lockdown regulations. So glad you guys are excited. One more minute and then we'll get started. Trying to read all your comments. Hi, everyone from Florida. Okay, let's get started. My name is, well, first and foremost, my name is Lorena, and I am here today with MAKIAGE, and I am going to be teaching you all about how to master concealer. I've been a makeup artist for 6 years now. I'm a freelance makeup artist, so I do a lot of event makeup. I do mainly weddings, like bridal, a lot of photo shoots. So I'm pretty knowledgeable on like all skin tones, all skin types, um, and just knowing a lot about different textures. Concealer is something that I use every single day, and it is something that I do not leave the house without. I don't wear much makeup on it every day, but concealer is something that I always apply just so I feel more awake, and my eyes look brighter and I don't look as tired. Um, Hi everyone, thank you for joining. I'm gonna try to read your comments as I apply the products. But before I start the class, I just want to make sure you guys know that after this class, you guys will be getting a link with all the products that I did use, and we are providing a special offer for everyone joining the class, which you will be trying before you buy. So what that means is you have the option to choose from one to three of the products that I will be using, and you will get to try before you buy. So all you will have to do is purchase or pay for the shipping, which is $5, and you'll be able to try the products for free for 14 days. At the end of the 14 days, whatever you don't love, you can ship back, but whatever you do love, you end up keeping. So it's a really great risk-free way to try the products out without having to fully commit. But I promise you guys are going to really, really, really love these products. Okay. Yes, you will be able to rewatch this video. Oh, why does my sound so loud? Okay, so let's get started. So, first step, we want to prime our face. Even if we're doing concealer, some of us like to just throw on concealer for an everyday. However, some of us also like to apply foundation. So what I'm going to do is apply a thin layer of foundation and prep my skin first. So first I'm going to start with our primer. This is the No Filter Primer. This is a really awesome smoothing and pore filling primer. So if you have a little bit of pores, especially right around the nose area, I love to use something like this, just so my skin is super smooth. Yes, Kirsten, if you do decide to keep the product, you will be charged the full price. However, if you do ship it back before the 14 days, you will not be charged for it. So I just take a little bit of that primer and just apply it right in my T-zone. This will instantly smooth any little pores. Sometimes you don't see the pores, and you will after when you apply makeup. So this is a really great way just to smooth out this area. So this is the first product that I'm using, and again, it's the No Filter Poreless Primer. So primer is up to you and what you are trying to help out in certain areas. I have a little bit of pores, so I do like to smooth them. And this is also really, really great to control oil. So there's different primers for different uses. This one specifically is to smooth out. So I just apply it to my T-zone. I don't like to apply it to my whole face because sometimes it can move the foundation around. I only like to treat certain areas. Not every area of your face is going to need as heavy as a foundation, as heavy as a certain primer. So you just want to stick to the areas where you want to treat. That also helps with preventing makeup from looking heavy and cakey. So that's just like the trick that I like to do. So now we're gonna go in with the foundation, which is one of my favorite products. This is our Woke Up Like This foundation. I am shade 110. And again, you can also try this product for a 14-day period, which is also under the try before you buy. And what's so great about this foundation is that there's an awesome power match quiz. There's 50 different shades, so sometimes it's really hard to find your foundation shade. I know for me, it's really hard, especially because I have olive undertone, and sometimes a lot of foundations are either too yellow or too pink. This is like the perfect match for me. Even as I'm holding it up right here, it's literally my perfect match, especially to my chest. You always want to match to like your chest area because our faces are always so much lighter than the rest of our body. I know I wear a lot of sunscreen, so my face doesn't tan as much. So this is my perfect match. So Shelly, if you have dry skin, this primer, you only want to do in specific areas. Before you apply this primer, you want to apply a really, really great hydrating moisturizer so your skin doesn't feel so dry after applying a primer. So glad you got your perfect match, Pam. So yeah, we're going to apply the foundation, and I like to apply a really even layer of foundation. This is what's also great about this foundation. It's a medium to buildable. So if you wanted full coverage, you can just do 2 light layers, and it gives you really awesome coverage for people who want that extra coverage. I personally only like a thin layer, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm using our brush. This is the foundation brush, number 100. And I just apply my foundation on the dish. And this is the movement that you wanna do to buff in the foundation. I only put a small pump, so I might use a little bit more. And then you just wanna bounce it right on your face. And doing this circular motion will help blend in. Now, this is a concealer tutorial. However, it wouldn't be right if I just applied my concealer without applying my foundation and how I would normally do my face. So this is just a really nice, even layer. And this is why I love this brush, because it literally does the work for you by just buffing it in. I'm gonna use a little bit more. I love this brush. It literally does all the work for you. This is the foundation blending brush, number 100. So for me, I have a little bit more redness right in the cheeks. So I just apply a little bit more there. And as you see, I'm lightly going under my eyes. Now, I like to do this because I like to do foundation first because you're already getting a little bit of coverage. That way you use less concealer in the end. So just a really light layer. Now we're all evened out. I don't have as much redness here. And now we're ready for concealer. You always want to have a really nice even base. So now, our concealer, which is actually one of my favorite products. Actually, I think it is my all-time favorite product from the brand. It's the I'm Flawless Concealer, and I have 2 shades here. I have number 8 and then number 9, and number 8 is a little bit lighter than my skin tone, so this is going to be like Concealer 101. Concealer is always supposed to be your skin tone or a shade or 2 lighter to help brighten out your under eyes. If you go too dark, it's just going to do the opposite. You're not going to hide any discoloration. You're not going to see that brightened effect. So this would be like my perfect shade. The other shade I have here, it's a little bright. Let me see if I can turn this down. Is there we go. This is number 9. Now compared to this one, number 9 is a little bit peachier. So I don't know if sometimes, if you guys ever notice, sometimes we have a little bit of discoloration under the eye. And sometimes concealer just doesn't cover it that well, especially if you're just going really, really light, this number 9 shade is going to be your corrector. Now, I have a little bit of discoloration right here. And this number 9, since it's peachy, it's going to actually go against the bit of blue and purple that I have under my eye to color correct. So if you ever feel like your concealer isn't covering enough, you may need a peachier tone. Now, this isn't for everyone, but this is a concern for most people. You might need a peachier tone first to help counteract, and then you can go in with your shade or a little bit lighter to brighten. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys and what I mean by that. And when you're trying to find like a peachier undertone, I always go in like our description of the shades, which they do an awesome job at describing the shades. I always look for something that says peachy. And in my case, I always go for like a medium tone. So as you see, I'm just going to do 3 little dots. Now with this, you don't need much because this is just going to help as the color corrector. I'm just trying to answer all your questions. We'll be able to do this by applying concealer first and then applying foundation. I would apply the foundation first only because you're going to use double the amount of product. If you do your concealer, then foundation. If you do your foundation first, everything will blend really, really seamlessly because you already have that base down. So again, this is shade number 9, and this peachy tone will work for a really great range of light to medium tones since it is a peachier tone. And I'm just going to take my 140 concealer blending brush to blend this out. And as you see, I'm only concentrating this right where I have that discoloration. And as you see, I'm working in really thin layers, and this is how you stop creasing. By applying too much concealer sometimes can cause little fine lines, and it's normal. We have little fine lines under our eyes. If I were to zoom in, you would see mine. And the best thing to do is by working in layers. You never want to apply too much concealer at first because the under eye is a very, very thin, very thin under there. It's the skin is thin. So you want to go really, really gently. So the same thing, if you are deeper in complexion, you would just use a deeper peachier orangey tone for your corrector shade, which we also have. You can look in the description of our concealers, which a lot of them will say like a peachy undertone, and that's great for deeper complexion. So as you see, the discoloration has evened out now. Now I have an even canvas under my eyes, which now I can go in with my brighter concealer to really brighten up my eye. And again, I'm still going to be using the same brush. So with this, I can apply a little bit more. And this is going to help really brighten my under eyes. Yep, peach will counteract any darkness under the eyes. And as you see, this is more of a yellow undertone. Well, since this is yellow, it's going to help brighten my eyes now. Now, the peach corrector is just an additional step that I like to do. And I've found that from working in a lot of retail beauty stores, many women and men that wear makeup, that was a big concern as to why the concealer wasn't covering as well. And a lot of the times is because you do need like that corrector first. I love this brush because it is pretty much a smaller version of the foundation brush, which is great because it just blends out so smoothly. So this concealer has like a soft matte finish, but what I love about it is that it's very thin. It's buildable, just like the foundation. So you're never going to get an initial very thick full coverage application, which I prefer because I like to build it up on some days where I want more coverage and then the other days that I just want something quick for under my eye. And again, this is shade number 8 for my concealer that I am using right now. I prefer to use brushes. I've just always used brushes, and I feel like using a brush, I get a very seamless blend. Sometimes sponges can soak up the product, so that's why I prefer to use a little brush. So discoloration would fall under like any dark spots. So anything peachy will help correct that. So I'm actually going to take a little bit of the concealer right around our nose. Sometimes we have a little bit of redness, so just going to add a little dot there just to help brighten. There we go. And again, since I've worked in really thin layers, I don't have many creases right now. So that's just one layer. If you wanted to, you could definitely add another layer of concealer, but I think this is good for me. So the key, Jennifer, to not have the colors mix is by blending them out and working in thin layers. Think of how when you paint your nails, you always want to do thin layers of nail polish when you're using regular polish. If you start doing very chunky layers and then you put your top coat on top, the layers underneath are never going to dry quick enough. That's why you always want to work in thin layers. If you ever do your nails and then a few hours later you have like little ridges in them, that's because underneath the layers aren't dry. So working in thin layers is going to be your best friend because it'll dry into like that soft matte finish and then you can work over it without it moving. So Kylie, when you have like texture or acne, the best thing to do is to find a concealer that matches your skin tone and to spot conceal. So I can actually do this with my foundation and pretend it's like a concealer that would be like my exact shade. With acne, you never want to go in and just apply layers and layers of foundation because that will end up looking cakey. You want to take a small brush and you want to take a color that's the closest you can to your actual skin tone and then spot conceal and just tap the little areas and buff it out. That's gonna really, really help you. I have a little blemish up there. Because if you go straight in with a concealer that's too light, it's just going to accentuate the blemish because that's what concealer does. We're accentuating if you want a brighter shade to use under the eye. So you want to make sure that you're sticking with a color that's as close as you can to your natural skin tone to hide that blemish. Just buff that out. There we go. So now that we have our concealer on, one of the most important steps is setting your concealer. Now, this is very, very, very important because you don't want the concealer to move throughout the day. So I'm actually going to use our transparent loose powder. This is awesome because it has no color. It's transparent, so it works on any skin tone and any skin type. This is just gonna help set the under eye so the concealer doesn't move and crease. Before that, you want to actually blend out the concealer to make sure all the little fine lines are gone before applying the powder, because once you apply the powder, it's set. Melissa, how can I avoid the concealer from looking gray after a while wearing under my eyes? I have dark circles. So if you feel like your concealer is actually looking gray, then you do need a color corrector. Because if you're just applying a concealer, it may be the wrong shade for you. If you're just applying the concealer like a brighter shade straight under the eye, it's actually going to do the opposite. You need something to counteract the discoloration. Think of a color wheel. This is how you learn makeup. It's actually through color theory. The opposite of blue, which would be like our discoloration, and blue and purple would be like the undertones of the discoloration. The opposite color on the color wheel is orange. Orange, peachy tones will actually counteract that blue and purple. So you want to make sure you get something like that to even it out before you apply the brightening concealer. So I'm just going to tap this out. And now we can use our powder. I love this powder because it's so finely milled. I don't know if you see it in the camera, but it's so thin. I'm just using any brush, any fluffy small brush, and I'm just going to tap that right under the eye. And this is just going to help set that concealer, and it really blurs your skin, which is great. This is awesome too if you have oily skin. You can mattify the T-zone really well with this powder. And remember, before you apply this powder, you want to make sure that you really blend out the little fine lines with the brush. And I just apply a little bit here, my T-zone, so we're set. And instantly my eyes are a lot brighter and I look a lot more awake. Somebody did ask, I didn't get the name, but somebody did ask, what if my eyes have discoloration? And that's a very common thing. Our eyelids sometimes get really dark, and mine are actually have a little bit of discoloration. If you see, it looks like I'm wearing eyeshadow, but I'm not. I don't mind it because it looks like I'm wearing eyeshadow, so I rock it every day. But if you wanted to brighten it up, you would just put the concealer right on your eyelids, and that actually works as a really, really good eyeshadow base. So if you just took a little bit of your concealer and just applied it right on your eyes, it would help brighten. I'm just taking the rest of what was on my brush. It would actually help brighten and get rid of any of the discoloration. See, just by doing that, my eye became a lot brighter. And this side looks like I'm wearing eyeshadow, like a very light brown. So you can always put concealer on your eye. I like to do it very, very thin, and then you can apply any shadows that you like. This is the transparent powder. Yes, this powder is great for oily skin because it does mattify and it's very, very thin. And that's pretty much the concealer demo. I'm going to stay on and answer some of your questions. Let's see some of your questions. Is there a way to not have to use for foundation, just do a spot treatment? Yes, of course. Sometimes on days where I don't have time to put on foundation, I'll just take my concealer and just spot conceal under my eyes, around my nose, and just really, really blend it out. Blend it really well into my skin using our brush. And you're good to go. And then you don't forget to set those little areas with the powder just so it doesn't move throughout the day. Let's see your questions. So if you have red under your eyes, using a brightening concealer is going to really help get rid of any of the red under the eye, especially something that has like a bright yellow undertone. So for attempting to cover acne scars and blemishes, we need a concealer that matches our skin tone. And we would apply that over the foundation. If I were doing someone's makeup application and there was like any acne, scars, or blemishes, well, scars, unless they're colored, you're not going to be able to cover it because it's always going to be some sort of texture there. If it has color, though, then yes, I would apply the foundation first because the foundation is always going to give me really, really great coverage. And then I would go back in with the concealer and then just mesh the two really, really well together. And then make sure you set it so it doesn't move throughout the day. What is the name of the concealer? So the concealer that we have is the F-Bomb Flawless Concealer, multi-use concealer. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Yes. If you have really dark under eyes, the corrector is always going to help counteract that. Yes, this powder is really, really, really great for photos because it's so thin. Don't have any flashback. It's really great, especially for photos. And I like it because it's so thin. That's another thing when applying concealer. Like I said, under the eye is very thin. So if you apply a very heavy powder, it's going to look heavy. This powder is so, so, so thin, you don't even feel it when you apply it under the eye. I hope I answered most of your questions. Thank you guys all for tuning in. So again, quick recap of all the products that I use. First, this is our no filter poreless primer. Really great for filling out any of the pores underneath the around the nose area. And then I used our multi-use perfecting concealer in the two shades. You could see right here actually. This is number 8 and this is number 9, how it has a peachier undertone. This is going to be your best friend for color correcting. And then setting it with our transparent loose powder. This is what finishes everything up and makes it look super smooth. And the two brushes that were used were the 100 foundation brush and the 140 concealer brush. If you did miss this video, it will be saved. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to MAKIAGE's channel here on YouTube. And I will also link my Instagram. So if you guys have any questions or if you try out this concealer look, feel free to tag me. I'd love to see all your looks. So don't forget to also follow MAKIAGE on Instagram. I just sent my Instagram handle. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys stay safe during this time. I hope this brings a little bit of light and some fun to your day. Here, I'll type it one more time. I know it might scroll. Yes, I will be doing a contouring class at 7, so really soon. If you guys want to tune into that. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night.